Coming up on NFL Daily, could the Kansas City Chiefs sign free agent wide receiver Pierre Garcon? What about Rob Gronkowski? He still has yet to decide if he's going to retire or return, but that did impact where Jared Cook went. And the big one, could Seattle actually trade Russell Wilson? NFL.com says maybe. We'll break down why actually maybe could make just a little bit of sense. All that and more coming up on NFL Daily. Hello friends, I'm Tom Downey. You are watching NFL Daily on Chat Sports, presented by BetDSI. Let's take a look at some of the NFL rumors and a couple news items out there right now. We mentioned Pierre Garcon. That is where we will start. He was cut by the 49ers this offseason. He's currently weighing his options at the moment, and the Chiefs are one of the top ones out there for him. Now, he might take a little bit of time, but the Chiefs do make some sense. They lost Chris Conley. We know Tyreek Hill was once again caught up in legal trouble. Sammy Watkins is always hurt. And that leaves Demarcus Robinson, who's a nice potential deep threat. Sammy Coates, who's bounced around. And then a bunch of guys no one's ever heard of, except for maybe Garrett Dieter from Alabama and Byron Pringle of Kansas State. So Garcon, despite the injuries last year, would provide a bit of a stabilizing presence for the wide receiver core for the Kansas City Chiefs. So that makes some sense to me. We'll see what ends up happening there with Garcon. He could be the type of veteran that maybe waits until after the NFL draft to see which team is still in the market for a number 2 or more likely a number 3 wide receiver. So which team will sign Pierre Garcon? Let me know what you guys think in the comment section. I think KC makes a lot of sense. I'll throw out one other maybe dark horse team out there. What about the Minnesota Vikings as well? Now for a player who has actually signed, George Iloka is going to the Dallas Cowboys, a 1-year deal. He will compete and in all likelihood probably win the starting strong safety spot away from Jeff Heath. Cut by the Bengals last year. Didn't play that much for Minnesota, but we know he's at least proven himself as a low-end starter in the NFL. So now the Cowboys feel a little bit better about their safety depth chart. Xavier Woods showed some promise and some real flashes as a free safety. George Iloka comes in now to help at strong safety. And Jeff Heath, where he belongs really, becomes your top backup and special team stud. But again, the numbers not great last year for George Iloka, but he didn't get a chance to play much because Anthony Harris turned out to be a pretty darn good option there for the Minnesota Vikings. So George Iloka goes from the Bengals to Minnesota and now to Dallas. So grade the signing for the Cowboys. Is it an A, B, C, D, or F? Let me know what you guys think in the comment section. It's nothing spectacular. It's not like they signed Eric Berry to a 1-year $1 million deal or something crazy like that. But it's a quality pickup by the Bengals by the Cowboys, who have very much played the 1-year deal move in free agency. Now to a very different rumor, a Russell Wilson trade. NFL.com's Bucky Brooks says, well, maybe, and presents actually a decent argument. So, step one, when Russell Wilson gets his new contract, it's going to be massive. He is younger than Aaron Rodgers, has been more durable than Aaron Rodgers, and the cap only goes up. He could legitimately get like a $40 million deal once he signs that extension. Either way, he's going to be the highest paid player in the NFL. And Seattle tends to do things a little bit differently, so maybe they could do this. And there's been some other buzz around there. Seattle says, no, we're going to zig while everyone's zagging. We're going to trade away our franchise quarterback, get a ridiculous draft haul, and build around a game manager, which, by the way, is actually what they did when they went on their earlier Super Bowl run with Russell Wilson, who was very much a game manager early in his NFL career. Now, I am very curious to see if a team ever does it, to say, you know what, the quarterback market is out of whack. We're paying way too much to one particular player. Let's trade him away and just invest in a new quarterback every couple of years and stay cheap there. But what would you give up in a trade for Russell Wilson? Now, in terms of value, look, Jay Cutler several years ago, and it's Jay Cutler, went for 2 first-round picks, a third, and a decent backup quarterback in Kyle Orton. Wilson would go for so much more, right? We saw what Khalil Mack went for. So I would assume it's your next 2 drafts, basically, is what you're starting with if you're a team trying to trade for Wilson. Now, I would lean towards no, Seattle's not going to end up trading him. But maybe they're just crazy enough to pull it off, and I'm not going to dismiss it quite as much as I've dismissed other trade rumors in the past. Now, today's show is brought to you by BetDSI, the internet's #1 sportsbook. Head over to chatsports.com/bet and use that promo code right there, LIVE120. Gets you 120% deposit bonus if your bracket's already been busted. Well, go bet on the individual March Madness games. Again, chatsports.com/bet. That promo code LIVE120 gets you extra bonus money to bet with on BetDSI. Let's move to some current players again. Rob Gronkowski, and what's the future for him? Now, the Patriots made a run at signing Jared Cook. I don't think they know what the future holds for Gronk because he has not decided yet. But at least a decent reason why Cook picked the Saints, at least a part of it, was because he didn't know what Gronk was doing. Cook wants to be the number one tight end. He's certainly good enough to do that. If Gronk came back, Cook would not be the number one guy. And maybe because Cook signed with the Saints, that makes more sense. Now, Cook is not officially signed, so I guess there's still a chance, but the deal has been mostly agreed to there. So for Patriots and Gronk, when he's on the field, he's great, but his body is not that of a 2010 early round pick. It's almost like he's a 2005 early round pick because he's just been so beat up over the past couple years. So we still don't know if Gronk's going to return, but that Cook picked the Saints because it kind of implied he thinks Gronk's going to come back does bode a little bit better for the Patriots, who either way will need tight end help. Let's talk trade again. Darron Lee of the Jets. I don't think you're going to see him suit up week one with the New York Jets. Now, they signed C.J. Mosley, and remember, they signed Avery Williamson last year as well. Well, those are your two inside linebacker starters. So who else are you going to plug in there? The Jets, in all likelihood, will shop Darron Lee during the draft. And maybe you'll wait until the preseason you can't find a good option there like they did with Calvin Pryor. But in all likelihood, I don't think you're going to see Darron Lee back on the New York Jets next season to open the year. Maybe after the draft he's still hanging around, but I think it's far more likely that instead the Jets decide to part ways and move on from their former first-round pick. Folks, Chat Sports has partnered with My TV Choice. It's an app that lets you get rid of commercials. Are you tired of having those commercials cut into you in the middle of a key March Madness game? Now you don't have to. Download the app, My TV Choice, today, and instead of those boring infomercials, get content from Chat Sports put right on your TV. Go download it today, mytvchoice.com. Back to some more NFL rumors. JAMEIS Winston. Well, this was just weird to me. I don't know how else to describe it. He wants to play at a heavier weight and says he's a solid 250 pounds. Okay. Normally you see players cut weight in a make-or-break season. Winston decides he's going to bulk up from 231 to around 250. That would make him the heaviest quarterback in the NFL that starts. Bigger than Big Ben, at least based on his listed weight. Bigger than Josh Allen, Nick Foles, all those guys, which is an interesting choice there for Winston. So will he be the Bucs' starting quarterback in 2020? Remember, the last year of his deal is this season, this coming year in 2019. Will the Bucs bring him back? Will they pay him? Will they give him another reset year? Let me know what you guys think. Type 1 for yes, 0 for no. Let's talk draft, and one of my favorite things to do this time of the year. Josh Allen is indeed taking visits, and there's quite a bit of interest around him. Look, he's going to go in the top 10 guaranteed. I feel pretty good locking him in the top 5 as well. I don't see him sliding out of there. And his visits kind of indicate that. Went with the 49ers. Went with the Jets and the Raiders. That's his prime range. If Nick Bosa's off the board, the Niners make sense. If the Jets don't trade down, they make sense. And if he's still there, I don't know how Oakland could pass on him at number 4 overall, barring some type of weird scenario where 3 quarterbacks go with the first 3 picks thanks to trades. And Allen is the prototype example of you go back to college for your senior year and you have a better season. So Allen's been fantastic. He's one of my 3 best players in this year's class. I think that's where he ends up going in the top 5 in the NFL draft. Now, while Kyler Murray, understandably so, gets all the hype, don't forget about Dwayne Haskins either. He's a good prospect, and several teams have lined up visits with him. Now, he's going to go in the first round, but the Dolphins are bringing him in. The Redskins, we know they have 0 long-term options right there. The Denver Broncos, still looking at quarterback despite the Joe Flacco trade. And you got the Giants, which certainly makes some sense as well. And then, interestingly enough, the Oakland Raiders as well. Now, Haskins put up unbelievable numbers, 70%, almost 5,000 yards, 50 touchdowns. The Raiders are an intriguing fit there because they've made it clear, hey, we're gonna stick with Derek Carr, and then they bring in Dwayne Haskins as well, which is fascinating. They've been linked to Kyler Murray, and we'll talk more about those quarterbacks there in a little bit, but For Haskins, don't forget about him. That's the key thing. I know Kyler Murray gets all the hype in the end, but don't forget about Dwayne Haskins. He is a very good prospect. But back to the Raiders side of it, obviously they're going to meet with Haskins. Sports Illustrated says that John Gruden loves Drew Lock, but to be fair, name a quarterback John Gruden hasn't loved. He loves all of them. He's also reportedly high on Kyler Murray. Those in all likelihood are your top 3 guys this year in terms of the draft. You have Derek Carr. You signed Mike Glennon because you cut A.J. McCarron, correctly so, by the way. And you also, I guess, have Nathan Peterman, although he's not exactly a positive asset at this point in his NFL career. So let's say you're the Oakland Raiders. Who would you rather have at quarterback? Type C if you want to roll with Derek Carr, at least for now, or type R if you want to take one of the first-round picks, be it Dwayne Haskins, be it Kyler Murray, Drew Lock, or maybe you want to go even different and pick someone like a Will Grier instead. Now, Grier's going to meet with 10 different teams before the NFL draft, and Sports Illustrated says, hey, maybe he could go late round 1. Now, every year you see a quarterback, sometimes multiple quarterbacks, that get late round 1 buzz almost out of the blue. And every year, those guys don't go in the first round. Last year, it was Luke Falk. There was round 1 talk for Luke Falk. He went round 7. Now, Will Grier's going to go way before round 7 this year. I think day 2 makes more sense. But in theory, Kyler Murray, Dwayne Haskins, Daniel Jones, all off the board before Will Grier. I don't think you're going to see 5 teams take a quarterback in the first round. In fact, I put the over-under right now at 3.5. Really, it depends on if Daniel Jones goes in round, which he shouldn't. But I have a tough time seeing Will Grier go in the first round of the NFL draft. I think it makes a lot more sense for a team like the Chargers or the Patriots to spend a day 2 pick on him.